everyone, if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning person to my channel, then welcome back. If you saw my last video, then as promised, I went and saw Godzilla vs. Kong last night, and I'm now here to do my review. I had zero intention originally of seeing this film. I hadn't even seen the trailers. I still haven't seen the trailers. I just did not care, and then my cinema's like, hey, there's an advanced screening, do you want to go? I'm like, yes, because I can't find it in me to turn down advanced screenings unless it's a film like I really hate the idea of, or just have even less interest than I did in this one. So obviously I watched the previous film the other day, and then I reviewed it yesterday, and then last night I went and saw Godzilla vs. Kong. So these are literally back to back. I have watched and reviewed these. I know that there are a lot of people using the hashtag Team Godzilla, Team Kong, all that stuff, which I know is the same thing they did when Captain America Civil War came out. It was, are you Team Captain America? Are you Team Iron Man? That wasn't hard for me because I don't like Captain America as a character. Sorry, I know that pisses a lot of people off, I don't care, but I love Iron Man, so that was a no-brainer for me. And then I saw the film and I saw what their stances were on the matter, and I'm like, I'm still Team Iron Man. Like, it didn't change. I didn't agree with Captain America, so there you go, what a shock. But Godzilla and Kong, kind of like this, they're both good guys. They're not evil. Kong is a nice guy. He's a hero. Godzilla, nice guy, hero. He keeps everybody in check. So I couldn't possibly say who I want to win because I'm just like, I want them both to win. I want them to become friends, you know? Which is really idealistic, but hey, maybe that wasn't far off. So without me prattling on, let's just get into the review. Godzilla vs. Kong is a 2021 American monster film directed by Adam Wingard with a screenplay by Eric Pearson and Max Borenstein from a story by Terry Rossio, Michael Dougherty, and Zach Shields. It is the 4th film in the Legendaries monsterverse, the 36th film in the Godzilla franchise, and the 12th film in the King Kong franchise. The epic next chapter in the cinematic monsterverse pits two of the greatest icons in motion picture history against one another, the fearsome Godzilla and the mighty Kong, with humanity caught in the balance. Thank you, thank you, thank you! This is the first time in the monsterverse that I didn't hate, rage, or overall dislike. Godzilla vs. Kong is a monumental improvement, and it only took screwing up 3 films to get it right. I guess it's as they say, practice makes perfect. Just about everything I hated about every other film in this franchise was what I loved about this film. Let's start with the greatest thing about this film, the visual effects and cinematography. When it comes to the previous film, I could spend hours fuming about those elements, but in this film, right off the bat, the film makes it clear, we got it right, let us show you. The film opens with Kong, and he's statuesque and glorious. He is depicted with sharp details, but so is his environment. Every single effect layout has been run over with a fine-tooth comb, so both the scene and Kong stand out and look as realistic as possible, and it works. And then the cherry on the cake is they have carried on Kong's personality. In Skull Island, Kong had a very human-like personality. He could show emotions, intelligence, and even humor, and we see that in the first few minutes of this film. The humor instantly puts you in a good mood. It's setting the audience up for a fun time, and for the most part, I'd say it delivers on that setup. Shortly after, we are reunited with Godzilla, and in the monsterverse, this is his best intro yet. Coming out of the water, we first see his dorsal plates as usual, but holy crap, you've never seen them so detailed. As they break out of the water and are lit up by his atomic abilities, he lights up the scene. His exterior is so intricate and lifelike, you feel as though you could reach out and touch him. Every single inch of him is showcased throughout the film. His radioactive body brings stunning visuals to disastrous scenes, illuminating them in ways other films haven't. If you saw my review of the previous film, then you know one of my main complaints was not being able to ever see the monsters or their details, with them mostly being giant blurry blobs hidden under the cloak of the night or various weather factors. This film corrects all of that. Whether Godzilla and Kong are duking it out at night, in the rain, underwater, it doesn't matter. We are still able to see them so spectacularly, standing out as true titans, too glorious for such mundane same things. The elements never hid them from us. Instead, they were used to show them differently, show how the textures of their body change, how they fight differently in different settings, the way they size each other up. The settings and elements are incorporated into the scene instead of being used to hide, well, everything. Every time these magnificent creatures are on the screen, which is a lot, it's never dull or boring. Kong himself inserts so much emotion into the film, so following him for most of the film was a brilliant idea because we can feel a stronger connection with him. I like that there are moments where it's like battle rounds, one wins one round, one wins another, but who wins the tiebreaker? Well, that round went about as I expected. I didn't expect the villainous monster of the story, but I loved it so much. With two characters who, as far as we have seen, are protectors of humanity, how do you choose one over the other when neither are evil? Only one solution? The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and it worked brilliantly. The film really takes Godzilla back to his Japanese roots, introduces another character from the original franchise, and uses it perfectly, allowing audiences to continue to love and admire both titans as they dominate this film and continue to show heart. The moments where we are able to see the two clearly understanding each other and communicating with each other in silent but heartfelt ways is incredible. This film brought a lot of humanity to these magnificent beings, and it is awesome. You're probably wondering about the humans, and I gotta say, for the most part, the human storylines work. I think the villainous company and employees from Apex should have been introduced earlier because it doesn't feel right having some brand new corporation showing up suddenly in this film since they're being depicted as such a big deal. To think of them working in silence makes little sense. That's one issue with these films, the way they connect to each other is poor. The credit scene in the previous film connects to this film, but the characters from that scene don't, so it feels like a loose connection. I think it makes total sense having some rich megalomaniac declaring himself superior and being a stupid human thinking they can just get rid of all the titans and nothing will go wrong, because it always does. Humans are stupid and always defeated by their own hubris. You can't stop Mother Nature, and the titans are Mother Nature's warriors and shield. Ultimately, the human villains this time created something that connects and interacts with the titans perfectly. I love the idea of Hollow Earth, but it's hardly original. I mean, the previous film tells us that Godzilla's moving through these underwater trenches humans can't get to, so sure, maybe there is some unmapped, untouched socket at Earth's core where gravity and evolution are different and where titans reside. In this universe, it makes perfect sense, but I've seen it before, so it wasn't that spectacular. We've seen the exact same story with Journey to the Center of the Earth and even Aquaman, so for me, Hollow Earth felt a bit recycled. The way Hollow Earth ties into the Titans and the evil humans, however, is good. It strings the story's events together, but it should have been left at that. When we see why some of the humans are really there, that's when everything should have been made clear to the good guys, instead of using characters played by Millie Bobby Brown, Brian Tyree Henry, and Julian Dennison. The non-stop conspiracy theories were getting very annoying, and Brian Tyree Henry, who was basically there as comic relief, was not remotely funny. When he was around, it turned the story into a joke. I'm all for tying the films together with human characters, but Madison I never needed to see again. She was irrelevant, and again, she's really just there for exposition, as is her trio. Her dad is now involved full-time with Monarch, so absolutely we can reuse him, but in this film, nope, he's only there when it's relevant to Madison, so he's basically useless. And frankly, as much as I love Kaylee Hodl's character, and I think she was adorable and created such a bond with Kong, I find it utterly absurd how these films keep putting children on the front line of Titan fights and dangerous expeditions that can get them killed, and making the children be part of saving the adults. I mean, these people are terrible role models and surely breaking some child labor laws. Rebecca Hall and Alexander Skarsgård are very good new characters. They're really there to back up and enhance the story of the Titans and move their story forward. The humans in this film have been better thought out. They have their own personalities and backstories, but they are only mentioned briefly, allowing these characters to be better used to better the story of the Titans, which is how it should be, and I greatly appreciate that. But still, I wish we weren't being introduced to new humans all the time, or this many. I wish there was more continuity there. I mean, we have a new Serizawa, but his name is mentioned so briefly I nearly missed it, and the film never actually tells us if or how he's related to the other Serizawa. According to the internet, he's supposed to be the original Serizawa's son, but that is not mentioned in this film, I don't recall, so just using the name once was pointless and was an extremely weak connection that I barely registered. While I felt all the scenes involving Brown's character and the group she's with were purely exposition and her team were annoying and really should not have been incorporated, it baffles me how children can infiltrate a multi-billion-dollar high-tech secret undercover lab so easily. Like, wow, should fire the security team. But my greatest issue honestly came with Hollow Earth. I'm about to go into some spoilers, so please skip ahead to the time marked on the screen. If you don't want to hear it, don't look at that part. Okay, so we have Kong being led to Hollow Earth. Good guys want him to return home, bad guys want Godzilla's power source. Simple enough. Kong does find his home. It's a freaking temple with doors with Kong-like handprints that he figures out and opens. He steps into a large chamber with man-made stairs and man-made pillars. He finds an amazingly large and intricate axe and a statue of a Kong and a giant throne which he sits on as he wields his new axe. King Kong is home. They took the king part way too seriously. But wait, there is an imprint in the ground shaped like the axe. It's a spot reserved just for the axe. He puts it in and an ornate carving of Godzilla lights up around the column as it begins charging the axe, Kong's new weapon against Godzilla. Now don't get me wrong, this looked hella cool, but I'm struggling to figure out how any of that could possibly fucking happen. Until now, Hollow Earth couldn't be visited by humans. To even try resulted in a human exploration team being ripped to pieces due to the shift in gravity. So how the fuck does a place humans can't go to have man-made structures, temples, doors, staircases, identical Godzilla carvings, hand-printed keys, axe pedestals, a throne, and a fucking statue? Humans do this kind of shit. I know Kong can use sign language now, but he was taught that by humans. Are we meant to believe that species of Kong before him was so advanced Hollow Earth was like Planet of the fucking Apes and they could build and carve shit? I'm talking about pristinely built pillars and stairs and a perfectly made functioning door. Did the Kongs learn to build carving tools and door mechanics as well? It's extremely cool, but it is as utterly absurd and ludicrous, and my mother and I just looked at each other in disbelief, confused, and then laughed because we couldn't explain what the fuck was happening. Even at the end of the film, she asked me if she'd missed something, and when I said no, she felt relieved but still very confused. This was the one big issue I had where I couldn't explain or understand how any of this was happening, and now I'm realizing the carvings found on regular Earth showing Kong and Godzilla in battle now make even less sense in the context of this film. What, was there an ancient civilization there but there's no human? I don't get it. The film moving into Godzilla and Kong's second showdown had a Tron meets the Monsterverse kind of vibe. It was in this moment the film was really paying homage to Godzilla's Japanese roots again, and it was honestly great. The settings, the effects, the fact that the monsters have a purpose, and believe it or not, character development was amazing, and everything you hope to see. Everything works out how it should and comes together, and it's amazing and fun. The score is brilliant, and the occasional moment of playing a song that is very upbeat or light also worked. It gave the film much needed frivolity. I mean, we're talking about two iconic monsters duking it out. Why not have some fun? I'm also now realizing that how Skull Island itself is worked into the Godzilla setting also doesn't make much sense, especially where Monarch is concerned. But if I don't overthink it, which is impossible, it's fun and interesting, and overall it was still a really fun time. Sure, I rolled my eyes and scratched my head a number of times, but at the end of the day, I think what we wanted was a movie that did these titans justice, showcased them how they deserved, and focused on their stories, and this film really did that. So even with its flaws, Godzilla vs. Kong is without a doubt the best and only great film in the Monsterverse, at least in my opinion. And those are my thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong. The performances were all great, you know, even though there were characters that I didn't like and didn't think that they should or needed to be included in their script. I can't say that the acting was bad, because none of it was. Everybody performed exactly how they were supposed to. I think the pacing was really good. It all comes together. There's just elements of the story, like Kong's kind of Hollow Earth origins that don't make sense, and for something that's talking about Godzilla's power source, I don't quite understand that. Yeah, I have questions, and I know I'll never get the answers to them. It's just, yeah, there were some flaws, and I'm always going to have issues with them, but unlike the other films where I can kind of rewatch Godzilla and I can kind of tune out all the stuff that I don't like and just focus on the monsters. I haven't rewatched Skull Island. I've only seen it once. Godzilla I've seen twice because I forgot that it even existed and that I'd seen it, so I rewatched. I'm like, oh, I don't hate it as much, but still. Haven't rewatched Kong Skull Island, and I just watched King of the Monsters, and I don't want to go near that one again because that one pissed me off, and I think that would continue to piss me off on a repeated watch, which is why I don't want to do it. But this one, oh yeah, even with the flaws, you can easily just turn your brain off, ignore them, and just get into the action of this film because they picked some really interesting settings to have these guys duke it out that you wouldn't think would happen. Like, you'd kind of think that everything would be on land to a degree, or at least in known locations, and it wasn't that. Like, they really got creative with this, and therefore that creativity in the setting allowed us to showcase Godzilla and Kong at their best, seeing them in their peak moments and then seeing them at a disadvantage, and that highs and lows, and one kind of overpowering the other and then the other overpowering the other. It was awesome and it was fascinating. My mom is 72 and she watched it, and she was saying that the action and fight scenes were going on too long and she was getting bored. But this isn't really her type of film. If this is your type of film, I don't think you'll say that the fight scenes were too long. I don't think anybody ever says that. We go into these because we want to see Godzilla and Kong beating the crap out of each other. Even though we love them both, we want to see these two powerhouses showing just how powerful they are. And that's what this film does, you know, in ways that definitely King of the Monsters didn't do, you know, because yeah, they were fighting, which is fine, but I felt like the only character in that film that they gave a kind of emotion to on a deeper level was Mothra. Mothra, we see that she was protective of Godzilla. She, you know, sacrificed herself to protect him. They had a really good connection. Like, immediately when she, you know, kind of hatched or out of her chrysalis or whatever, she immediately went looking for him, and not to fight him, but because she's his ally. Basically, she's his friend. And I think that that was great. And so I feel like I got to see that in the monsters in this film. Not just one monster, but we got a bit more of that. So I was happy with that. So yeah, overall, 2 thumbs up. It's not a perfect film, but it's a hell of a good time, and anybody who's excited for this, I don't think will be disappointed at all. So that is it for this review. If you have seen it, feel free to comment down below, share your thoughts on the film, or if you don't want to talk about the film, we can have a conversation. You can tell me what's going on with you right now. How's your week been? I will reply to you. I will reply to you, so if you just want to have a vent about your week, go for it. Safe space, have at it. But that is it. Thank you, as always, to my awesome patrons who kick booty. I am out for this video, so I hope to see you in my next one. So until then, bye.